So, travel insurance 2020 for us residents in England, where can we go? Where can't we go? Are we covered if the worst was to happen? I spoke to a couple of insurers to find out.
Part of a claim may not be paid.
They just hung up. So where can we go? At the time of researching for this video, 63 countries and territories are on the UK government's website exempt list, meaning if you are returning from these countries or territories, you won't have to self-isolate. This is what the government calls a travel corridor, but this list is under constant review and other countries can be added or take away at any time. Now, I'm not going to show you the list of countries that require no quarantine because, as I just mentioned, it's always changing and I don't want to mislead anyone with a list that is correct today but may not be in just as little as a week's time. I'll link the full list by the FCO or the Foreign and Commonwealth Office in the description below for regular updates. Now, what happens if you are in a country that was on the list and while you're in that country, the government decides to take it off? The first country this happened to was Serbia. When the list was initially published on the 3rd of July, the FCO deemed it safe to go there, but on the 11th of July, it was removed. This would mean that anyone traveling from Serbia to England from the 11th of July onwards would have to self-isolate for 14 days. Now, once we've chosen a place to go from the FCO approved list, can we even get to said country? Will they even let us in? I'll give you an example. New Zealand only has a few cases of the virus and everything is pretty much back to normal. Well, it was, but then Auckland went back into lockdown anyway, so sounds like a great place and a safe place to visit. But after digging a little further, the UK government website states, and I quote, "Entry to New Zealand border is currently closed to almost all arrivals." I also had a look on New Zealand government's website and they say New Zealand's border is closed to most travellers and entry is strictly controlled. All arrivals are tested for COVID-19 and a 14-day managed quarantine or isolation is mandatory. So that's 2 weeks of your holiday gone already spent in isolation, but who's to say you'll even board your flight? New Zealand will only allow people to enter if you are a citizen, permanent resident, resident with a valid travel conditions, as well as essential workers, but even they need permission to enter. But it's not just New Zealand, it's Australia, Malaysia, Canada, and many more. But don't worry, we are allowed to go to some countries with no special visas or the necessity to self-isolate upon arrival. At the time of recording this video, there are 17 countries and territories that do not require quarantine on arrival, nor quarantine coming back to England. This is because both countries have a similar infection rate and poses a smaller risk of catching the virus compared to the USA, for example, where the infection rate has skyrocketed these past few months. Basically, if you do decide to travel to these safe countries and territories, just keep to your social distancing, wash your hands regularly, and stay safe. Okay, travel insurance. I called a couple of travel insurance companies to ask specific questions that I feel is relevant to this video, but I'd highly recommend doing your own research to see which cover best suits you. The Post Office and Sainsbury's Bank is who I called, and the most important question I think we're all wondering is what will happen if you catch COVID-19 while on holiday. Both will cover medical costs should you need them, including hospitalization. The good thing about this, especially for me anyway, is that I have asthma and I would still be covered should I catch the virus. If you have an underlying health condition, make sure you tell your insurer about it, otherwise you could end up having to pay out of your own pocket should anything happen to you. What if you catch the virus before you travel? Sainsbury's Bank straight up said no, but the Post Office said that you can cancel your travel insurance 14 days before your trip. However, this will not cover you for missing your flight. Which takes me on to the next question. What if you get cold feet and decide you don't feel it's safe to travel? Both insurers stated that you can cancel your insurance 14 days before you travel. Again, I don't think they will cover you for any money spent on flights and hotels. It's best to speak to the airline and hotel directly to see if you're entitled to a refund. If you're in a country that has been taken off the travel corridor list while you are there, both insurers advise to follow government guidelines from both England and the country you are in, and to get home as soon as you can. When I pressed the question whether they will cover you, They just repeated follow government guidelines. According to Which magazine, they also found no evidence that travel insurers will cover any additional costs should this happen to you. What if you get refused entry because Border Control suspects you've been in contact with someone who has COVID-19? Again, both stated that this will be out of their hands and straight onto the British consulate hands. No more information from the sounds of it. Additional costs will be coming out of your own pocket. And the last question I pursued is, what if we go against FCO guidance and say, F it, I'm going anyway? That was a hard no from the both of them. However, I did come across Avanti and Stay Sure that will cover you for not COVID related problems, but for the ordinary things like lost luggage. I've linked some useful websites in the description below that I think will help you on deciding how to go about your travels during 2020. But with all of these constant changes on the FCO guidelines and its travel corridor list, if it were me personally that was looking to go abroad without the fear of catching COVID or rushing to get home early because of these changes, I would be looking at last minute bookings, looking for a country or territory that not many people visit, therefore less chance of being taken off the list while there. Now guys, my next video coming out is about how safe is it to fly, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next video.